Athens, Georgia. Missouri coach Barry Odom looked around Georgia's Sanford Stadium and across the field Saturday night and saw everything he wants to build in Columbia. He saw the electric game day atmosphere, the capacity crowd, the students that flooded their section 90 minutes before kickoff, the endless supply of athletes on both sides of the ball. If only he could, Odom would pack up everything the nation's fourth-ranked team put on display and bring it back to Mizzou, minus the famous hedges and pet bulldog. "That's my vision for where we're going," Odom said after his team's fifth straight loss as athletics director Jim Sterk stood nearby. "It's going to take time. But that can absolutely be done. That football team is really good in every area. That's what I'm striving to get to." If Odom is afforded that time, his goal seemed miles away as Saturday's final score signaled to the 92,746 witnesses, Georgia 53, Missouri 28. Mizzou made the impenetrable Bulldogs bleed more than any team this season, relying again on a lethal deep passing game, but the other side of the ball, Odom's specialty, was overmatched along the line of scrimmage and through the Athens skies. Odom's defense barely touched freshman quarterback Jake Fromm, who completed 18 of 26 passes for 326 yards. The Bulldog running game punched holes through Mizzou all night for another 370 yards. Georgia's 696 yards of offense was its most in more than 5 years. As if things weren't bad enough for the Tigers, starting running back Demaria Crockett left the game early in the third quarter with a right shoulder injury suffered on a run into a pack of Bulldogs. Drew Lock unleashed a few more trademark bombs to Emmanuel Hall, but the Tigers had no semblance of balance. Mizzou's running game managed just 59 yards on 24 attempts. "If you're playing a team as good as they are," Odom said, "you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be solid in every area." Missouri, 1-5, 0-4 Southeastern Conference, a 30-point underdog at kickoff, was trying to become the latest team to topple a heavy favorite and shake up the playoff picture on a weekend that began with two jarring upsets Friday night. Unranked Syracuse took down number 2 Clemson, and unranked California stunned number 8 Washington State. Instead, the loss was Mizzou's 11th straight on an opponent's home field, 8th straight loss away from Columbia, and 6th straight loss against a nationally ranked opponent. The Tigers are off to the program's worst 6-game start since 1992, when Bob Stull's team lost 8 of its first 9 games. After consecutive road games, the Tigers get a brief respite on the schedule with next Saturday's homecoming game against Idaho, 2-4 after losing to Appalachian State on Saturday. There could be some hope along the horizon. None of Mizzou's remaining 6 opponents have a winning record. Their collective record is 15-22. "You guys keep track of the teams just like we do," defensive end Marcel Frazier said. "I don't think there's any powerhouses left. Obviously we're not playing like a powerhouse. Obviously." Coming off 3 straight lopsided SEC wins, Georgia fans might have feared a letdown as the Bulldogs head into a bye week followed by their rivalry game against Florida, but the Yuga offense caught fire early. Georgia marched 91 yards on its opening drive, converted a couple third downs through the air, and scored on wideout Mecole Hardman's 35-yard run. As Hardman turned the corner near the home sideline, several Georgia coaches lifted their arms to signal touchdown, while he was still 30 yards from the end zone. Safety Thomas Wilson whiffed at a diving tackle as Hardman sped by for the touchdown. Third downs were a problem for the Tigers all night as Georgia converted 13 of 18. Man or zone coverage, it didn't matter. "We couldn't get off the field," linebacker Terrace Hall said. "That was basically it. You've got to stick to the scheme and do your job. You can't do extra. If you do extra we give up big plays. That's what happened, man. Once you start hopping out of gaps and try to make the play on your own, and you can't get off the field on third down, that's what you get right there." Mizzou's defense made life easy for the offense with linebacker Cale Garrett's one-handed interception on the next possession, his second pick in as many games. The Tigers set up on Georgia's 5-yard line and scored on Locke's shovel pass to Albert Okwuegbunam to even the score. The Tigers' secondary continued its season-long struggle on Yuga's next series as Fromm converted 3 more third downs, including a 19-yard strike to Riley Ridley for the go-ahead score. Revisiting last week's strategy at Kentucky, Mizzou quickly responded with the one weapon Georgia feared this week, the go route. The Tigers barely flinched after an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on wideout J'Mon Moore as Locke fired deep for Hall, good for a game-tying 63-yard touchdown pass. But also like last week, Mizzou's defense couldn't sustain momentum. Tailback Sony Michel had half the field to himself on a 36-yard run to the end zone, putting the Bulldogs back in front 21-14. No problem for the Tigers. Locke to Hall connected again, this time a 65-yard touchdown heaved down the sideline to even the score at 21-21. Just like that, the Tigers had outscored Georgia's 3 previous SEC opponents on 3 straight drives. Mississippi State, Tennessee and Vanderbilt had managed just 17 points the last 3 weeks against the Bulldogs. Their quarterback's got a big arm, and that kid is a fast receiver, Georgia coach Kirby Smart said. We knew before the game, we said, don't give up big plays, and you've got a chance. We gave up 2 big plays. But that defense needed a wake-up call to go play better. Georgia continued to carve through Missouri's secondary. Wilson and cornerback Adam Sparks both got hurdled by Georgia ball carriers, but the Tigers managed to stop on their side of the field and held Yuga to a go-ahead 37-yard field goal. Fromm added a 4-yard touchdown on a keeper, and the Bulldogs added another field goal just before halftime to regain a 10-point lead. Georgia poured it on in the second half with 3 more field goals, another Sony Michel touchdown run and a 59-yard touchdown pass to Hardman, who put the Tigers on skates as he zigged and zagged through a maze of empty arms. Locke broke up Yuga's onslaught with a 27-yard touchdown to Jason Reese in the fourth quarter, but the damage was done, the rout all but complete. We're definitely not satisfied scoring 28 points, said Locke, who threw for 253 yards, but just 80 in the second half, even on that team, and who they are to the public eye and in the ranking system. I'm not happy with how we played.